Given that you've got such a hectic travel schedule and so far to come, what's the one thing you can't get on a plane without?
It is books, books definitely. Especially, I mean, if you're talking long haul, Australia, New Zealand, for example.
Yeah.
Well, for me, I need books. And when I mean books, I mean second-hand, paper books, not these horrible fucking e-reader things. I can't stand them.
What are you reading at the moment?
Right now, I'm actually reading a book called Burying the Typewriter, which is about a biography. It's a lady that grew up in Ceausescu's Romania, so I'm reading that. That's quite interesting, because she discovers after many years that her father's actually a spy, or at least that's what I gather, from reading the synopsis. I mean, I might be slightly inaccurate, but I think that's what happens during the book. So I'm a big, I like the Soviet era realist stuff. It fascinates me. So I read a lot of books on North Korea, Albania, East Germany, so Romania, Hungary, Soviet era, so, yeah, there you go.
There we go. Now, as a man, I'd like to say this, a man with principles, given some of the stands you've taken and some of the things you've said in the past, and given that you're a Villa fan, how did you deal with signing John Terry?
Yeah, good one. Nice segue. I am, we say principles, but I mean, it's just basic human stuff, whether it's principles or not, but yeah, I mean, well, it's like any footballer, there are many of them who sort of have done things and this and that, but, I think sometimes, we all have done stuff on various levels, and we all can't throw stones at glass houses. So, there is an inherent sort of greed and selfishness within football, and I would therefore say that John Terry is arguably one element of that, amongst sports and the generation of capital in sports. So, to single him out would perhaps be short-sighted, But yeah, I mean, when he came, I didn't know what to make of it, to be honest. I kind of let it pass me by, if I'm totally honest with you, So yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's a good question, but to be honest, I didn't really think anything at the time.
Yeah.
I was more preoccupied, I think, with what was going on in America, which sort of has a lot more importance to the future of humanity, I think, or lack thereof.
Yeah. John Terry doesn't have a big red button to push, does he? No, that's a good point.
No, he doesn't. No,
Yeah. All right, Barney. Well, if I rocked up and met you at the bar at the King's Arms when you get down here, and it's my shout. What's your poison these days? What am I buying you?
Well, I mean, I'm going to sound quite predictable in the sense that I do like what is now called craft beer, but of course, craft beer has been around in the UK for hundreds of years. It's not really anything new. Yeah, but yeah, I do like some of the ales. Some of the old darker ales. And the sour ales and that kind of stuff. So anything along those lines, but not Guinness. Because you can never tell whether it's got animal products in it, depending on where you buy it from, so I tend to steer clear of that.
Yeah, no, fair cool. Actually, if you like a decent stout, there's a decent stout down here by a Wellington brewery called Panhead, and they've got one called the Blacktop Oat Stout. And that is
I know.
super.
I've had a few of the oat stouts.
Mate, that's superb.
Yeah, the oat sounds good. In fact, that sounds familiar, actually.
It's like drinking velvet.
Did you say pinhead?
Panhead.
Panhead?
Yeah, as in
as in a pan, as in a cooking pan.
Yeah.
P-A-N.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to try that, definitely. Not on gig days, of course.
Of course.
We're getting, I think, the day before, so yeah, I'll give that a try.
Give that a nudge. All right. Well, you've toured the world many a time. You've been to many a places, and you've toured with a lot of different people, Barney. So, the worst touring habit of anybody that you've had the displeasure of being on tour with.
Oh God, that's a good one. But I'd have to really sit and think about that. Well, there was actually. I'm not going to name him because he's actually in a band and it might be really embarrassing. But one guy I went out on tour with used to do something called shoot a rope. Where he'd just turn up at some random place and he'd just drop his trousers and he'd just literally shoot a projectile turd out of his ass. Like it was literally like firing at some kind of plastic bullet. The police, the plastic bullets with a. That comes in like a plastic projectile case. It's just like one of them. It's unbelievable. That, feat of human sort of whatever you call it. But yeah, it was fucking disgusting. Needless to say.
That's outstanding. All right, mate. And finally, Barney, what was the definitive Napalm album?
I've never been able to give one album, because I loved the albums before I came into the band, and there's been a few of them the favourites that I've been on down the years, but I know it's going to sound obvious. Everybody always says last time, but I will say Apex, because I think that it's a consolidation of everything that we've done in the best possible way. I think the experimental elements and the more manic elements come together, knit together really, really well, on the last album. So yeah, I'd have to say that on it. It's a little bit. Many different flavours, that sit together quite well, I think.